by Mohammed Brokerson.
Do we believe it out here? Let's turn up the night, y'all.
What's up, Basement family, all G's, and the rest of YouTube? Cheers, and welcome to the Rap Fantasy League Battle Royale, Week 1 winners announcement. Yesterday, we put up the head-to-head matchup of N9ne, Mental Giant, versus Lupe Fiasco, Bitch Bad. And it was close all the way through in almost every category. Now, we've tallied up the points. We averaged them between both team captains, and I'm gonna send you to Josh Suggs of Team All G's React to let you know how these artists got the points they did in a few of these categories. Take it away, Josh.
So as you know, we had 5 criterias, being flow and skill, visual creativity, musicality, influence, and content of cultural importance. Those were the categories. Now I will be talking about the visual creativity of the videos that we watched, influence, and content of cultural importance. So I hope you guys are ready. I hope you guys are ready. All right?
And here we go.
When we start with visual creativity, with N9ne's video, okay, you see him over a crystal ball, correct? And in this crystal ball, there's a version of him in this crystal ball, and then there's also a version of him on the outside of the crystal ball, all right? Now this right here has a metaphorical meaning of when he's talking about a mental giant, he's talking about inside that crystal ball would be inside of his mental, his consciousness, basically. There's a version of him that is actually trying to navigate his consciousness, avoiding all the dangers that on the outside, there's a version of him causing these dangers, okay? That's very significant to the video, all right? Causing these dangers to befall the version of himself inside the consciousness. So as his self navigates this consciousness and trying to work his way through, he's running into other versions of himself. That's where you see the one with the glasses, face paint, okay? N9ne has spoken on many videos that he said there's 3 versions of himself that he considers, all right? The creative part of his video is using that while also rapping of how strong his mental is. We have the use of CGI graphics, which this was 2011. So that's also very impressive and risky, even to say the least, for music videos sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So N9ne's creativity within this video was very high. Now over to Lupe Fiasco's video. Lupe Fiasco took a different approach with this video. He set it up as a performance to be watched inside of a theater, okay? He used an array of characters in this to bring forth the story that he was telling within this video. So when you start off, you see when he's telling the story of the boy and his mother and how she's relating to herself and how he's taking it in. He then sits the boy in a movie theater, okay? Now, the movie theater is a representation of what you watch, what you see, okay? A lot of times when you're out here in the world just looking around, you're actually taking this stuff in, and it's almost as if you're watching a movie. There's characters that you do know, that you don't know. Let's say you're at the grocery store, you might know the clerk, but you don't know all these other strangers. There's a movie going on right in front of you. Movie theater is a representation that this is something that's being seen by many people. That's why he multiplied the boy. So it takes it from a singular event to a multiple event, showing that there's multiple people actually watching this movie all over, not just this one little boy, but we're focused on the one little boy's story. Then he begins to shift to Act 2, right? Act 2, again, remember, he's doing this as this isn't a performance. Within the performance, there's another act. Then he shifts over to the little girls. The little girls are on the internet watching a music video. A music video by their favorite artist. Again, he's referencing the first act, which is the same reference between this is not just a singular story. There's little girls all over the world who are going through and seeing what these girls in this story are seeing. Then he begins Act 3. Act 3 is the conclusion of the story where one of the little girls have grown up and the boy has grown up, and their perception of what a bad bitch is completely different. Moving on to influence. Influence is next on the list. Judging by, and I know some of you guys are probably wondering, like, influence. How will influence be done? Personally, to me, I'm a person who likes influence. To me, is very, very. It isn't finite, right? It isn't finite, but certain things can be telltale signs to make it a little bit more finite. So let's get into how I perceive this influence and how I match up this criteria. Tech N9ne's 6s and 7s, which is the album in which the song was on, first week sales was 55,000. Okay. His Mental Giant video, as it stands today, has reached 2.1 million people. All right. Now, within contrast of Lupe Fiasco's video and song album sales, this is Food and Liquor 2, the Great American Rap album. He actually outshined Tech with 89,000 sales in the first week. And as of to date, his video stands at 5.1 million. So there's a considerable gap between viewership between both videos. So you're probably thinking, well, easy to say that Lupe Fiasco wins this category. It's not true. The reason why is because there's also something else that Tech has done that plays a big part in this, which is he did it independently. I mean, you can't take away the fact that he's the biggest independent artist with the biggest independent label, and what he achieved with those numbers, he did it independent. Now, I know some of y'all might say it's a little unfair because Tech has about almost 20 years on Lupe Fiasco, and Lupe Fiasco is indeed an independent artist now with his own label, but at the time of this, he was signed to Atlantic Records. I'm not taking anything away from Lupe Fiasco because we can't say Lupe Fiasco does not have influence, because one, on a label, he was able to put out consciously made music, not cookie cutter bullshit. So that's something to be said itself. Also, not this album, but some of you all may know that at the time of Lasers being released, and Atlantic Records did not want to put it out, Lupe Fiasco had people marching outside of the Atlantic headquarters to get his music released. N9ne even threatened Atlantic Records to reveal emails that they were going to hack him to get his music released. Throwing Lupe Fiasco's name in the same bracket and category as Common. So Lupe Fiasco does have influence, but just not as much as Tech. Tech takes this category as well. Now, last category, content of cultural importance. Now we're talking about the rhymes here. I know some of you are looking like, bro, come on. This is one I won't spend much time on this because it doesn't need to be spent. If you want to know more about hip hop culturally, I will leave a link down below for KRS-One's lectures where he talks very, very deeply about hip hop. Okay? And what people don't understand, that there is a hip hop culture and there's a hip hop music genre. So this is where this category kind of brings two together. So with N9ne's song, He's a Mental Giant, let's be honest. I'm a N9ne fan, and you guys are N9ne fans. Some of you all N9ne fans. Let's be real. Let's be really, really real. There's very, very few callbacks to the actual hip hop culture and the hip hop as a culture. And it's because it's a rap song meant to show flow, skill, ability. Now, flowing is very, very, rapping and rhyming is important within hip hop. But as far as the content that is therefore mixed in and what he's saying, there's not a whole lot of it there. So that would actually fall under the flow and skill, which is not a category that I am going to touch on. I'm going to leave that to my partner. Okay? So it's not a lot there. N9ne definitely loses this category to Lupe Fiasco. Lupe Fiasco touched on something that hits culturally and socially within his song of how we perceive ourselves, how black people who are supposed to be the leaders and some of the gatekeepers of hip hop clown themselves. You see it in the music video. You see all that. And he's telling you this, every bit of it. He's mixing all of it in because Lupe has always been completely down for the culture. Lupe Fiasco wins content of cultural importance. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. But we're not done, because we have someone who needs to talk about flow, skill, and musicality. Bruce.
So, as you can see, the scores were so close, anything could happen. But the breakaway categories were skill and musicality. If you're watching the head-to-head yesterday, you may have guessed it, but N9ne took decisive wins in both categories, and here's why. In skill and flow, Tech really gets intricate with his rhyme placements. Take a look at this. Sure, he uses all the note values you see here. Like, with almost every rhyme, somewhere ends up in almost all of these categories. But I wanted to just point out something about the way he creatively uses triplets. Check it out. A triplet is simply 3 notes that fit evenly into one beat, like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? That's the beat, and you can fit 3 notes in it evenly. Now, look at all the other ways you can land a triplet pattern right here. On different places in the beat, especially if you look down there at the bottom, right? When taking out the first note of the triplet, or the last note, or adding it to eighth notes, and resting it in weird places, there's a level of skill that not even the likes of Lupe's amazing flow, where he can land the same type of rhyme before or behind the beat at will without the listener even knowing. But not even that could match up here. N9ne 10 to Lupe 7.5. Lastly, when we looked at musicality, Lupe gets a really high score here for the use of violins, key changes, and awesome singing at the end. But even more than how amazing the production was on Mental Giant, which was dope, Tech in his raps uses themes like a classical composer. We're talking about song form is his musicality. Really quick, listen to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Look how many different ways he uses the theme. Da 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 da. It's just 4 notes. Now, I don't want to get blocked, so I'll just say it. When Tech has a theme of 1 long note followed by 3 short notes, sounds like da 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 da. He found as many different ways and places in the timing to use that as Beethoven did in 1 verse. Da 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 da. I mean, he's just song form and theme brought it all over the top, guys. 10.7 again. I mean, 10 to 7.5 again. So there it is. When the scores all added up, N9ne, Mental Giant, ekes out the win over Lupe Fiasco, bitch, bad. 43-41. Team Box Cutter wins week 1. We win, guys. Take that to the head and take it to the comment section. All newcomers and all fans that have been there, who drafted, who picked this song, I'm telling you right now, Sunday night at 9:30, I'm going live right here to pick our songs for week 2. And we have Nas, y'all. Team Box Cutter has Nas versus E40. So don't wait for the notification, y'all. You're not gonna get it. YouTube is not sending them out properly. It's not sending it to anybody. Nobody sees our notifications anymore. So I'm telling you straight up, Sunday, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Be here, or someone else will be in control of our team's song pick for week 2. You want to be in control of that. All G's React team, you guys will get a poll on your page, so check that out. Holler at Josh, get with your captain. That's it, folks. Thank you. See you Sunday.
Robert by Mohammed Wilkerson.
We believe it out. Let's turn up the night.